So I had seen some podcasts perhaps by Denise when scrolling through Apple Podcasts, but really the big push came from my best friend who has been talking about Denise just quietly, and then I am not even really sure what made my friend really push for Denise. My friend said that she had gained a lot from Money Bootcamp. And I think her apprehension was that it was a lot of money, which incidentally was one of my only fear going into signing up for Money Bootcamp. So my friend was just so much of a fan. And then when I listened to Denise's podcast, I think I listened to the podcast, then I bought Get Rich Lucky Bee. And then it really felt like a very logical step to go to Money Bootcamp. Like I felt like I had a real sense of Denise and what she was saying, her very practical way of being, and it felt like an easy choice. Now, I really feel like Denise has done so well to make us aware of sacred money archetypes. Now, I know that that is not boot camp, but I plan to sign up for sacred money archetypes next time, okay? Because I think that awareness has really meshed well. And so because I have a primary accumulator archetype, I did have a successful business before I went on maternity leave. I would say, though, that most of my work was one-to-one. I had good systems that meant I was leveraging the power of one-to-one, but still I was so extraordinarily busy. And while I had some good systems, there was certainly room for improvement. And in terms of what I think has changed for me, I had recorded some audio tracks, 6 albums back in the day when people listened to CDs. I have 6 CDs out in the world on Spotify, iTunes, and so on. But after plugging them and having a radio show for 6 years ago, that completely went by the wayside, completely. So when I started Money Bootcamp, I had almost no online presence anymore. I had material I'd created years ago, YouTube videos, my albums existing in the ether. What else did I have? Previous work, but nothing in the recent 6 years. You know how I said that I hadn't done anything online? And so in the Hidden Treasures exercise, I actually went into my PayPal account. In fact, I didn't even know if my login would work. Okay, like that's how long it had been. And I was surprised to find 1,500 there. That's US dollars, by the way. So, you know, it translates to more. And then I logged into my CD Baby is my platform that distributes my albums. And again, 6 years ago, in the rise of GDP legislation and so on, I thought that had shut down. I didn't even know if my albums were available. I hadn't tracked them. I hadn't looked. And I think there was $600 there or more. So it was very interesting to me that in the absence of active marketing, that somebody was listening to these tracks. And by the way, because of the change in how audios are consumed, that's not even purchases, downloads as they used to be. Those are streaming. So previously we used to like charge $30 per CD, and now we get 0.0007 per stream on some of the platforms. It varies. Yes. So how my business looks now is still, there's a big part-time component with steady work. I'm limited because my baby is still young. I'm still busy, not as busy as I was, and there's room for improvement in my systems. But um, I have now, thanks to Denise and investing in another course, I have a much more online focus. So I have two courses. They're very small. I have a podcast, and out of the blue, I have a card deck of 90 mindfulness inspired self-care cards. And I'm kind of, the look on my face is because Michaela and I were talking, and in part influenced by Denise, Michaela said, ask the universe for your grand idea. And I was like, okay, then, okay, fine, fine, fine. And I can still remember I was in our bedroom with my baby, and then it came to me to just just use the phrase "just a minute," because I use this phrase all the time. So that is my stuff at the moment, is just a minute of mindfulness. That's the name of my podcast. That's what these cards are about. That's the concept, like just a minute of focused attention. So that, if you like, has brought in tremendous energy and enthusiasm and people into my world that just weren't there before, without the clarity of that wonderful universe generated idea. The other change to my life is that I'm 23 kg less. And so I'm now, I was morbidly obese. I know that's the term that people use. And that came about actually because of some discussions within Money Bootcamp. So Denise had made some comment in the lessons about the link between money blocks and kind of self-care and weight blocks. And it wasn't the main focus. Like Denise was just saying this off the cuff, right? But it really resonated for me. And then it sounded like it resonated for people within boot camp as well. So a core of us just kind of encouraged each other. The energy around that has gone up and down. But I think that planted the seed about the thinking, the mindset that underlied both money and self-care. And then that compelled me into upgrading massively in the area of my eating and nutrition. Is that it's such an amazing community to be part of. And I love that Denise is so generous, and it's open. It's not a time limited community, and you can dip in and out, but Denise always encourages us to stay in the room. So everyone is extremely helpful. I find that when I post something to celebrate, people join with joy. I find that it's really easy to post because people are extraordinarily vulnerable. That makes it really safe. It's very amazing to me that Denise is so present in the group. So Denise will often post. And so, yeah, I've got a real sense of there's a connection with Denise, even though there's so many people. And, she has a team, including you, who really are present. So it definitely feels like there's no post that kind of goes ignored or unanswered. And I find it amazing how much people share in a really vulnerable, but really amazing way, where people take responsibility for themselves. So I never have the sense that, oh my gosh, there's somebody who's vulnerable and I need to care for them in some way, or oh, this feels too unsafe. And I think that it's a credit to the boundaries that Denise has talked about, how that group has, how she's had to enforce boundaries over time. And the more I'm involved in other groups, the more I really appreciate the magic that is part of Money Bootcamp. As a therapist, I find it so extraordinary how Denise works with actually quite big issues, like issues that are about these wounds of childhood, right? And she works with them therapeutically, but in a very safe way and at scale. I think that that is just extraordinary. That blows my mind. I really love that Denise is authentic, that Denise is involved and present. And I love her line that we're trying to be contributors, not gurus. And that gives a lot of permission to, you don't have to be all sorted and perfect. So one of my reservations for going into bootcamp had been I'd spent a lot of money on another course where the person was much less authentic and appeared more sorted. And I love that Denise is just very real and talks about her own money blocks and that she still has room to grow. And she's very transparent. This is how much I earned. This is what I forgot to do. You know, I feel that it really opens a very honest conversation around money. So I would say there were two. Now, my money blocks, so my barriers to enrolling were less because I had the support of my best friend, and she had already really enjoyed Money Bootcamp, and also I had listened to the podcast and had a sense of Denise. So as an accumulator, I feel like I'd done some good homework. But I think the cost was an issue because of that previous negative experience of having been disappointed previously. And I can just hear Denise's voice in my head that that's a, forgive and tap exercise. And so that the cost, I think, was the greatest barrier to me. If you are, especially if you're an accumulator, Denise just has so much wonderful material out there. You can get a really good sense of Denise by reading her books, listening to her podcasts. For a while, that was the only podcast I listened to. She has heaps of resources. So I think Denise is just so generous that you can get a really good sense of this is who Denise is, this is her style, this is what she believes, so that you can feel more secure about this is the next step for me. And I like that there isn't a pressure, like Denise makes it very clear, is this right for you? That is a choice you need to make. She doesn't have any pressured sales things. And so that is a sensible decision people can make and decide. Then I would say keeping on going, like even small steps, like there's no time frame that we have to do Money Bootcamp in, but even small steps are better than no steps. And I have just printed off the whole book to go through it properly. Once again, I've done various exercises at different times, but one of the bonuses is the whole workbook. And I'm looking forward, I've had that printed and bound, and I'm looking forward to going through that. And the other thing is the Facebook group is just such an amazing resource. So I would recommend people turn on all notifications from that group. And because even if you don't engage, simply seeing what comes up, hearing what comes up is just so absolutely useful. The other day, somebody posted something that really resonated for me. I wouldn't have had the words to say that myself, but it was so useful hearing those words, and that made me reflect about. So Denise's is the first course that I have completed. I have bought a lot of courses. I have done various investments, and Denise's is the first one. And I'm trying to work out even why that is. I think in part, Denise's lessons are really condensed down. It's so manageable time-wise. So I was doing it when my baby was 3 to 4 months, and I was breastfeeding constantly, but also I was tidying up the admin in my business, invoicing and so on. So I found her short focused lessons just brilliant. I didn't have to devote an hour. I knew that in 15 minutes I would get really good, pertinent material. And Denise has really, it's obvious she's refined the handouts. So the handouts are gold, like the handout on upgrades. That's so specific. And an idea that I got from that was just about brand consistency. This is minor in the big scheme of things, but something I took away from Denise was about how she has a brand wardrobe and dresses as per her brand when she's doing calls or so on. And that made me really think about the look. Let's see. So I've upgraded my nutrition massively. I like the message from Denise about how the investment is in us. We are the golden goose. And so, I upgraded and had a nanny come in 2 days a week whose main role was to help us leave the house and for me to get to work. And she tidied the kitchen so that when I cooked dinner, it was in a peaceful place. We also have a wee robot vacuum cleaner. I posted that in the group, and Denise said that it needed googly eyes. And that was an upgrade because Denise really made me aware of where is my time best spent. Right. I talked about my microphone, which I really love. And I have a lovely, light, and easy to use computer. But I don't know, like these are tangible things, and there are so many others. I think that the greatest thing has been the mindset about what brings ease into my life. So what I have noticed in different groups that I'm in, relating to business and so on, is that other people's money blocks are now so much more visible, right? So it's one thing to have a working business idea, right? Or somebody to give you a tip. But if your mindset isn't open, that falls on deaf ears. If you believe, for example, that there are negative consequences to making money, that it's not safe to be visible, we shouldn't charge people, and so on, that's foundational. And no amount of tips or tricks are going to help that. The other thing I guess I believe is that there are so many, this money mindset is not just about mindset. It's also about self-care. It's about ease. It's about deserving. It's about, my husband calls it demons of the past, right? And money is just one area where those mindsets come through. But you might as well say that in relation to food or, I don't know, like clothing or whatever. So without addressing mindset, you're on the back foot and you won't benefit from any of those other types of courses. And by the way, even if you do want those more practical things, Denise's Chill and Prosper is absolutely jam-packed with really practical, do this, download this, use this script. So that's on my agenda too, is to go through Chill and Prosper and all the bonuses more steadily. 3 things that stand out for me are the negative consequences exercise, because of how deep that is psychologically and how safe Denise makes it. The hidden treasures exercise, because despite my accumulated tendencies, I was shocked at what I had ignored, including by the way, thanks to Denise and her checklist. Like Denise is like, okay, do this and this and this. It isn't just a general, hey, look for hidden treasure. I like the very specific. Have you considered? So another thing that I had completely ignored was that I have Australian superannuation because I worked in Australia. Again, I didn't have my login details. I didn't even know where to get those details. I had never actually read a statement. And so I phoned them to find out that I had, I can't remember, $30,000. So I would like to do more of my online work. And part of the goal is about doing that outreach, like being able to share those resources and tools with more people than I would see one-to-one. So I think working with Money Bootcamp ideas and clarifying those things really put me in a good position for using other materials. So next on the horizon, is more consistently using my cards, my card deck, to have podcasts relating to that. And I'm developing a journal for people to reflect on the cards. My core message, I feel, got markedly improved by being in the group. So ideas that I'd always had in my heart, I think just got greater clarity. And so I have a book in progress, which is about the validation wound. I think that the greatest issue that people face, well, apart from poverty, and violence and so on, is about invalidating their own feelings. Denise just is so clear about consistency, like consistently posting, consistently making offers, consistently even just having a placeholder. So that is also what I'm working on, consistently putting out something into the world. That these sacred money archetypes are so useful because I've passed that idea, the link, to so many people, because I think it gets us thinking about ourselves and how we relate to money in a very powerful way. And it helps my husband and I talk about money. So we are very lucky that we share our top archetype together. And I think that knowing that is something that we're in alignment with, like knowing the term for it. Like I knew we were in alignment, but knowing that we're approaching this from both, and we're both accumulators, really helps. And then he has different secondary archetypes. So when he makes a call, I understand where that's coming from. And it also means, though, that I do know where I get tripped up by being a nurturer. And his secondary archetype is as a ruler. So he's great. Like he is the person to turn to for big picture planning and ideas, but not necessarily the person who I need to hire somebody to do the admin for me. So I think maybe that's something that has come out, like where are the leaks in my business?
If you're looking for expert training on money mindset, a supportive community, and mentoring to work on your money stories, I invite you to come work with us in Money Bootcamp. Our community is growing every day, and when empowered people come together and take control of our financial destiny, we really can change lives. Come and join us on this journey. Just click below, take a deep breath, and enroll in Money Bootcamp today. You'll get our amazing money mindset training, ongoing mentoring, and access to our beautiful, inspiring community. So then you can have the encouragement and accountability to make a breakthrough with your money. And you'll get support from all of our experienced mentors and live group coaching calls with me every single month. We will be with you every step of the way to help you create more abundance with less stress. So click below, take a deep breath, and just hit join on your registration. Make this investment in your dreams and get started now so you can release your money blocks, increase your income, and surround yourself with amazing people invested in your success. I'll see you in Money Bootcamp. It's your time and you're ready for the next step.